So if you're from Fresno, listen to this. Did you ever hear about the Garfield School Arch right there on Minnewawa and Shepherd?
I feel like I seen it, but I don't remember.
I'm sure everyone's seen it.
Mhm.
Now, even though it is located in Clovis side of the area, I still consider it Fresno because it's technically Fresno County. So I'm still considering it Fresno, so don't come for me. Now, brick-looking thing is known as Garfield Schoolhouse Arch, located on Shepherd and Minnewawa, where it was originally a school before it was destroyed by a fire,
Wow.
and the only thing left was the solitary arch. Hi, my witches and norms. Welcome back to the WitchDarkTales podcast.
Welcome back.
We're your host, Diamond Witch.
I'm Miguel.
And today we're going to be talking about Fresno, California historic landmarks. Why I came up with that idea, because we were on vacation for 2 weeks, right? And when you guys see this video, it's going to be May 11th. Well, happy Mother's Day
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
to all the mothers out there.
Mhm.
Now, within this podcast, we're going to be talking about Fresno, California historical landmarks such as,
Forestiere Underground Gardens.
and then we're going to be talking about the Santa Fe Basque Hotel, where now is known as Shepherd Hotel.
Mhm.
And then the third one would be the Garfield School Arch.
The school arch.
I wanted to talk about this was because on Instagram, we're popping. People are watching our video on Instagram.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for supporting. I'm definitely going to put this clip in there. But everyone's been asking about the history. And so I was like, wow, like TikTok is more about scary places, urban legends, history as well. But on Instagram, they were like eating it up for Fresno history. And so I was like, period, like let's do one for them. So TikTok, Instagram, this is for y'all. Before we get into the podcast, viewer discretion is advised. Everything we talk about is just pure speculation and the research that we done. Again, for audio listeners and viewers, discussion is advised. But with that being said, let's get straight into the podcast. So we're gonna be talking about a moment for ourselves, but skip on to the next clip. How you been?
I've been okay, tired.
Well, we did take 2 weeks off. For what did it feel like 2 weeks?
No, I didn't.
No?
It feels like 1 week, maybe 1 day, 2 days.
Well, because we went to cha-ching. I lost so much money.
Me too.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
I lost your money.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was so sad.
Hey, it's still money lost.
Yeah, true. But yeah. So for my birthday, I wanted to go out Saturday, but I wasn't feeling good at all.
And good. Well, are we able to mention this? But yeah, I know, but because also something happened to your family.
Oh yeah, my uncle passed away, my dad's brother, and so when we went there to the funeral, not saying I did get sick, but it was more of like overwhelming. Yeah, look, we're getting too deep.
I
So,
know.
well, let's get on to the podcast. Let's get it started.
So have you ever been to the Forestiere Underground Garden?
No, I've never been there.
Yeah, so I remember being there, but I haven't been there for a long, long time. Let's say school time. So very long time.
So you went there for like a school trip?
Yeah, so school trip. So I remember when we were in school, we always had like school trips going on.
Yeah.
And one of those trips was actually going to the Underground Garden, which is located on Shaw by 99.
Lucky you.
But I remember it was, nice. It was pretty. And that area is always like fresh, like fresh breeze, I guess you could say.
Well, because of the trees.
The trees, because it's on the floor, on the ground.
Oh, so it really is underground?
It is on the ground.
Being from Fresno, I've never heard about this Fresno historical landmark. And so it is called the Forestiere Underground Garden, right?
Yeah.
Now, who is Baldassare Forestiere? Pronounced as Baldassare, which is Italian origin. And then his last name is Forestiere, which is French. He was born on July 8th, 1879, and passed away on November 10th, 1946. He was born in the hamlet of Filari on the northern tip of Sicily. He migrated to United States in the 1900s after a conflict with his father, and sometime later he moved and purchased a land in Fresno, California.
No, wow. Yeah, I wonder what the argument was about.
Right. Well, obviously they're not going to talk about it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
back to the story. The reason why he purchased the land in Fresno was because he's always wanted to be a citrus farmer. Soon after Basdasire, sorry, like it's hard for me to pronounce.
Mm-hmm.
Soon after Basare decided to dig a small cellar to escape the summer because it was hot at the
Mm-hmm.
time, his influence was due to when he was a child, he was infatuated with the Roman catacombs and wine cellar he had seen when he was in Italy. Do you know the catacomb is?
Not really. I'm thinking of like the bees catacombs.
No, well, it's actually an underground burial site or burial place underground the cat.
Oh yes, now I
Yeah,
remember. Yes,
and I was
yes,
just
yes.
like the one in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about the design of the underground
Mm-hmm.
garden. There's about 65 rooms in the Forestiere underground gardens. It has a summer bedroom, a winter bedroom, a bath, a functional kitchen, a fish pond, and a parlor with a fire. The intricate pathways are created by sections over a span of 10 acres without a blueprint. And I was doing diggings. I didn't understand like what they mean by blueprint. Well, when he was creating the underground
Mm-hmm.
garden, he did it all freehanded. He basically was like carving things and he did it without any plan. He said, I'm gonna go down there and start carving. And he just started carving.
Pretty much a Minecraft in real life.
Respectfully,
Respectfully.
respectfully. I did research and I want to know like how did this man do it, right? I found out that he did it by using a couple of farming tools, which were a pick, a shovel, and a wheelbarrow.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he was 44 years old, he already had finished and planted over 10 acres.
Wow.
Yeah. And within these 10 acres of land, Mr. Forestier planted multiple varieties of fruit trees and vines up to 20 feet underground, from oranges to lemon and even grapefruit. And
Mm-hmm.
there's actually more. Also, not to mention, he even planted other fruits such as kumquat. I didn't know what that was. So I'm going to put a picture here. And then jujube, we all know what jujube plants are,
Mm-hmm.
and also loquat, which are like I never knew what that was, but we always eat it when we were little. And so the Forestier Underground Garden was named a historical landmark by the State of Department of Parks and Recreation on October 12th, 1979.
No.
This dude was ahead of his time. Not only did he create this place, which he constructed, but he did a whole planting within this area of different fruit and trees. And they said, well, from the article that I read, the trees were not so high where you're able to, like, they're bendable,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
can pull them down and grab the fruit and eat them. I was like, I want some. I want some. Now, I do also have to mention, but sadly, on November 10th, 1946, just at age 67, Mr. Baldassier Forestier passed away, where he was buried at the Holy Cross Cemetery on Belmont Avenue.
Mm.
And you want to know what his last words was?
What?
His last words were, and I quote, "To make something with a lot of money, that is easy. But to make something out of nothing, that is something." Isn't that cute?
Oh no, confusing.
Huh?
Confusing a bit.
Really? I feel like he basically said you came up with your own, it basically to say like you do something for money, but by building something out of nothing is basically like worth more than money. Oh,
So more memorable.
yeah.
Memorable.
Well, what do you guys think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Am I tripping?
No, it makes sense now.
Well, also come to find out, he never had any children,
No
and
children's.
no, he never had
Mm.
any children, and basically the garden was passed to his two descendants generations.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Everything we talked about will be linked in the description box below. Now, have you ever been there?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there a long time ago. School years, pretty much. Because I used to do field trips,
Mhm.
and the underground garden was pretty much one of the field trips that we went to. And I still remember how it looked like. It was pretty much all on the ground. You see like trees planted. You see all this like stone walls and everything. And they would take us like tours, like different sections of the rooms. But I think at that time for me, it did not look like it could have been like like a house, I guess, because that way it was mentioned that it was pretty much his home, like it was a home but on the ground.
But with 65 bedrooms, I'm sure it
Hmm.
looked more than okay. So since you went there, was there any walls? Like, as in, like, let's say the room was there's a door and then it's closed. Like this, imagine our podcast studio, but
Hmm.
with a door. Or was it all in the open? Like you can just walk
No,
by.
I remember seeing like they built like there could have been doors, but I think there weren't doors at that time. I think they probably took them out, maybe. Maybe there was, but it's been a while since I've been there.
Well, because it's technically like an attraction, right?
Yeah.
So they basically wanted to look very like a museum. Let's say that, but in a historic way.
Plus, it's very unusual, how that became to be because something like that doesn't really happen in the real world, I guess you say.
Well, yeah. I mean, he built that for like until he was 44.
Hmm.
Kudos to you, man. Rest
Hmm.
in peace, by the way. You created something so beautiful, and now it's an historical site. And thank God, because not to allegedly, a lot of Fresno historical sites here, landmarks, they've been either demolished or somebody said, "All right, let's get rid of it."
Hmm.
Like off topic, the silo, the grain silos down right there in the northern downtown. So
Hmm.
it's basically a rice, or you can say like a California plant
Yeah.
area. If you really think about it, it looks like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers mountain with the cylinder.
Oh yeah, so like three pretty much.
Yeah, okay, think of
Hmm.
it like that. So Zaki Farms took over, but then in 2018, 2019, it was finally like closed. And so within August, I believe August or
Hmm.
September 2024, the city of Fresno said, let's demolish it. And then from what I did on the research also, I found out that on March 11th, they actually tore it down and they're creating a room for that train thing. What's it called?
Oh,
The fast moving train,
the high speed
high
rail.
speed rail.
Yeah.
And that's sad to me because just like when we found out about the first house that was built,
Hmm.
and then what's that freeway called? 180? The one right there on
180.
Yeah, on Blackstone and Abbey. They basically tore that house down to create that freeway, which I'm not mad about. But historical landmarks or things that are first in Fresno should not be destroyed or demolished. I feel like they should kept it as is or somehow built the
Around it.
around it.
Yeah.
But who are we, right? This is way
Hmm.
before our time,
True
you know.
that.
Moving on to our next historical landmark is known as Santa Fe Basque Hotel and Bar here in Fresno, California, but
Hmm.
now it's known as Shepherd Bar.
Upper bar. Never
And it's
been there.
no, well, I haven't been there either, but it's downtown next to the Amtrak. So back in the days
Okay.
that when the Amtrak was being built, Santa Fe Hotel was there, and so the people that travel from the Basque, they were basically think of shepherd hoarders. They basically was the one that was hoarding them, and so they came to Fresno to stay in. And well, let's say migrated. They immigrated to Fresno to the Santa Fe Hotel, where they would be held, where they would be treated to give employment
Hmm.
and to have a place to eat and stay. Well, let's get into the history because yeah.
So the Santa Fe Basque Restaurant and Bar is actually located in downtown Fresno. Well, originally was located in downtown Fresno. The hotel was built back in 1927 and was served as a boarding house for newly arrived immigrants, especially those in the Basque country. So Santa Fe restaurant was home for a lot of players, and it was actually a sheep camp. Like
A
you
what?
mentioned it, a sheep camp.
Oh,
So what they actually say is they serve family style meals, fried chicken, lamb chops, both sides of lamb and pork, stews, bread and butter. hmm So here's an interesting story that happened when it was in downtown, and it's that it was actually raided by the police during prohibition times, and they have been there like 5 times within the 9 months of being there. And this was actually posted in the Fresno Bee back in the 1930s.
oh, so they were doing something shady, allegedly.
Allegedly, there was stuff going on over there.
We don't judge.
Yeah. So now doing the research, we found out that it's on Shio Tomorrow now without the hotel. It's actually just a restaurant. Yeah.
I want to go eat.
What you
I wonder how the food tastes like back then. And not to sound insensitive or weird, but like now we have like, we could put soy sauce or ketchup and, other, how do you say,
Condiments.
condiments. But I wonder what did they probably just had black pepper and salt back then, huh?
Very simple, simple stuff, I guess you can say. Yeah, it wasn't processed like it is now.
Oh yeah. Well,
So it
back
was more like, what do you call it? Originally? No, authentic. There you
so a delicacy, basically a traditional dish.
go. Mm-hmm.
In our culture, we have this thing called lap. It's basically a whole bunch of vegetables
Mm-hmm.
with rice powder, and it's cooked with lemon. Some people will order it with like not cooked at all, so they just put the carne or the meat, like beef, put it in the thing, and then they put the lemon and stuff to cook it like ceviche. I could not eat it. It's too chewy. I like it fully cooked.
Fully cooked. I feel
Yeah.
like if it's fully cooked, it's too chewy. Yeah.
Yeah, we are totally different.
Different.
Mm-mm. Well, so if you're from Fresno,
Probably like me. So if you're from Fresno, have you heard of the Santa Fe Basket Restaurant and Bar, which is now known as Shepherd in downtown?
and then like you said, the new location is on Shields and
Or,
Marilla.
hmm
I want to try it out.
let's go visit.
Hmm. So if you're from Fresno, listen to this. Did you ever hear about the Garfield School Arch right there on Minnewawa and Shepherd?
Mm, I feel like I seen it, but I don't remember.
I'm sure everyone's seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even though it is located in Clovis side of the area, I still consider it Fresno because it's technically Fresno County. I Googled and it said Clovis is actually in Fresno County.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still considering it Fresno, so don't come for me. Well, back to the story. The brick looking thing is known as Garfield Schoolhouse Arch, located on Shepherd and Minnewawa, where it was originally a school before it was destroyed by a fire,
Wow.
and the only thing left was the solitary arch. On March 14th, 1883, the recently formed Garfield Colony was named for President James A. Garfield, who was assassinated in 1881, organized a school district there, Clovis, California at the time. Rancher Jeff Corrick donated 1 acre of his land to build the school in
Mm-hmm.
1883 on the northwest corner of present-day Shepherd and Minnewawa Avenue. In 1887, 2 more acres were purchased for a reported $40 in gold coins. Local grower John Cadwallader was also a donor of the land for the school.
Mm-hmm.
On June 27th, 1899, Garfield School District, along with Red Banks, Jefferson, Mississippi, Walters, Temperance, and Clovis District joined the Clovis Union High School District. In 1883, the school that was there was replaced in 1906 by a new building, but they basically expanded the area because the school was getting big. And then in 1912, the school bond was approved, and so that's when they created it. Also, not to mention, that's when they created the school arch, the brick, and they placed it on there. Sadly, on February in the year 1990, the school caught on fire and it was burned down, but the only thing that remained there is the arch.
It's still there?
Yeah, it's still there. And so I posted on Instagram a couple days ago. People were saying, "Oh, I thought it was like a portal." I'm like, "Why would you guys think that was a portal?" We talk about Fresno history and haunted places, and people still want to make that into something like, "Well, I thought it was haunted. I thought it was a portal." Like, why would y'all think it was a portal? Is it a
Mhm.
portal?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I wanted to go earlier today, but you were busy. I wanted
Mm,
to take pictures and stuff.
I'm always busy.
I know. You're doing your thing, which I get, which I get, which I get. So if you're from Fresno, did you ever hear about the historical landmark there on Shepherd, Minnewawa, known as the Garfield School Arch? Drop down a comment and let us know.
Mhm.
We end the podcast. What did you learn today about the historical landmark here in Fresno, California?
I feel like I learned a lot.
Me too. I feel like we're in history class.
History. I was bad at history.
And you guys might saw us stumble for a little bit. We did take 2 weeks off, so we're barely getting back into the groove.
Mhm.
You know, for me, when I found out about the school arch, the Garfield School Arch, I was always fascinated with it. I was infatuated. I'm sorry. I always see it and I'm like, what is that? Like, what is
Mhm.
that building just there? Like, what? So when doing this digging, I would never believe that there was actually used to be a school. And
Right.
yeah, can you believe that?
No. I mean, no.
No,
know.
because now there's a farm, like there's a blossom trees and everything around
Really?
it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So if you guys go on to Table Mountain and you guys see it, think of us, the Garfield Schoolhouse Arch.
hmm
What about you? What did you learn?
For me, it's the underground garden because I was always fascinated by it, and I have like a huge thing with things being underground. I guess. So let's say if end up getting a house, I want like a underground little thing going on.
No, and it's pretty, huh?
And it's pretty. Yeah.
And we're putting the images up here, even though it's not ours. We will link to the owner of the pictures, but we had to use them because they were so beautiful.
hmm
you know? So, with that being said, thank you guys for joining our podcast, and we'll see you every Monday for audio and on Sundays for visual. But with that being said, blessed be everyone. Bye.
Bye.